Welcome back to the 600-pound deadlift project. Like the title suggests, things didn't go my way. Long story short, we're injured. We'll start this episode by looking at videos that led to the injury and what I could have done differently. Other than me not being ready to go into the gym and lift that day, and making the decision to do so anyways, take a close look whenever I come off the bar. I'm going to play it for you again. As you can see, when I rise off the bar, there is a collapse in my right hip, and I completely ignored it. At this point, I was so focused on putting out weekly content that I decided that the injury itself was not worth paying attention to. So fast forward to a week later, I decided to get under the bar and pull 475 for 5 sets of 2. Cut to last week, I went for my max. And guess what happened? After that workout, I couldn't stand up without being in excruciating pain. I spent the last week trying to rehab it. Here we are on the day when we should be filming, and I just cannot lift. So what does this mean for the project? We're still going to push forward to get to 600 pounds. However, I'm going to have to take a hiatus. I don't know how long it's going to take for me to heal. I'm hoping within the next couple weeks, I'll be back to having the ability to lift. I'm not quite sure what exactly the injury is, but I think with time, it'll heal on its own. With that being said, in the meantime, I'll kind of go over what I've been doing to hopefully speed up the recovery process. One of the things I've been focusing on is stretching, a whole lot of stretching. Specifically in the hip areas, one of the exercises that I do to do that is to do a leg press with very light weight. And then I put my feet kind of high so I can have an emphasis on my glutes and my hamstrings, and then drop it down to a point where I'm feeling that hip stretch and pause for a little bit. So there is a little bit of weight on there to push myself into that stretch, but it's nowhere near enough to trigger another injury or make this one worse. Another thing I've been doing is back extensions. And again, this is going to be something where I'm just isolating those muscles again. And with this movement, I'm looking to kind of get that stretch in the lower back at the bottom portion of it, and then engage those muscles that feel like there could be an injury surrounding them. And so that's kind of what I'm doing. Again, there's not that much weight, and not enough weight to re-trigger an injury, but enough weight to kind of get some movement in there. Because movement is medicine in a lot of ways. Rehabbing a muscle, it helps to have movement, get some movement in there. And then another thing I'm doing is glute bridges or just glute lifts. Here you can see I'm doing a very lightweight, concentrating at the bottom and the top with a pause. Again, not enough weight to cause injury, but enough to loosen the muscles. So with the stretching and the movements that I'm doing, I am noticing a difference. There's a lot of tightness that I built up over the second season in my hips that I was ignoring. And I think a lot of that from not stretching and not doing accessory work that could benefit me. I just got tight, which caused something to get too tight to where it eventually gave up. So that's something carried into season 3 that I'm going to look at doing, is just a little bit more accessory work during the week to open up my hips and keep everything loose. So a sneak peek into season 3, what's that going to look like? I made a lot of progress during season 1 with the 5-3-1, and I think I'm going to go back to that. The volume itself was enough where I could recover week by week with an occasional break. And with everything that I have going on, I don't need more volume that makes it difficult for me to recover. And with the schedule I'm trying to put out with one video a week, I need less volume to recover from. So we're going to go back to season 1's program. Again, this is not an ideal way for this to end. Season 2, I felt like for the majority of season 2, we were making great progress. By the end of it, I was having difficulty recovering from each one of the workouts. I want to be able to get y'all content, but at the same time, I've got to do it at my own pace. Sometimes that means I have to skip a week, and hopefully with introducing the old program, it'll be less and less skipping and more lifting, and it'll get us to 600 quicker. Again, thanks for all the support. I really appreciate it. More to come. Thank you very much.